the middle.
Yeah, you're live. There you go. We're live.
It's my spine's curved, but I'm straight in the camera. But this is just me, right? Normal.
Yeah.
Right, but this is me straight. Hang on, straight.
Yeah.
And in the camera. But it's weird, right? Because that is actually a straight spine. But because I can use the stick all the time, this bit curves, right?
Yes, that makes sense.
This bit. This is the stick one, yeah? This is the bit that's, and this arm's bigger than this arm.
Yeah.
This arm.
Yeah.
And you can see it. This arm, small one. This arm, bigger one. Because this is the one that has the stick on it. But this is the one I say hello with. So we don't have to worry about this arm because it's, shit.
It's kind of like barmaids.
What?
Barmaids get one boob bigger than the other, always using the same hand to pull beer. And one arm gets bigger and also the chest muscle gets bigger, so one boob's more prominent than the other.
That's right. And bakers or patissiers get one really, really big because they're mixing stuff all day.
Oh, okay.
So they get one really big arm.
Hi, Fox and Luke. How's it going?
Hello, Fox and Luke. How are you?
Do you remember young Amy, who's actually been in the live streams once or twice? But incredibly strong, because she worked at like Baker's Delight for a couple of years, and that was apparently very even-handed work because she just had guns. She's very strong.
I mean, I wouldn't take her
King, long time no see.
How you doing, Celtic King?
But physical labor bulks you up. And me being someone who works on computers in an office all day, super buff. So
I know. I've seen Angry, not in the Raw. He keeps that for special occasions, and I'm not special enough. But I've seen him playing in the surf. I've seen him splashing around in the sprinkler. I've seen him at night sleeping.
I was about to say, I've never invited him to any of these events, by the way.
No, it's usually through a telephoto lens or in the hole I put through the ceiling in the crawl space. I know how to remove tiles and put them back again neatly.
That's nice. A musical aid is joining us as well. Hello.
There you go. Thanks very much for saying hello.
Look, there's Celtic King being enthusiastic.
Oh, your favourite individuals are so kicking it today. How can I describe it? If
that's a big question.
I was a pre-human, what I'd be, not Homo sapiens, not bloody Neanderthal, right? None of that. Right, I'm talking you 3-foot hairy bastard that's only just learned to stand up, right? If I was one of them, I'd be going at mammoths with a stick, going, come and have a go if you fucking think you're hard enough, right? That's
I like that.
I'm going, Celtic King. That's how up I am, right? Come on, mammoth, you points. Come on, you fucking Nancy. I like your fucking sticks out the front, but I want your fucking fur as a hat. I'm looking for a hat. And you're going to do. I want a big hat. You're going to be a big hat. Don't run away. Come here. I'd probably put a rope around its neck and go, do you like me, dog? To other tribes and intimidate them a bit. And train it to go catch, fetch. Other tribal kings, I'd go fetch his good hat. And, do you like my good hat? That's, Angry's obviously 5 times better than that. But I'm just saying, that's how I am.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing that you made me think of. I spent, that's small. I thought I just found a big image. I spent a bit of time in a Facebook group called "It Turns Out That You Can Put Words in Any Order You Want," and it's basically when people do it correctly, they are basically finding signs that because of the weird layout, it makes no sense or it's humorous. I'm going to try and share one of my favorite ones. I'm going to do the share screen thing with my Chrome tab. This one. Share that. Now, yeah, see, it's not very large, but it's supposed to say if you work hard, then you play hard. But because of that ridiculous thing, you don't even really notice the work play on the side. So it appears someone's just stuck a sign up that says, if you hard, then you hard. And
That's something like I'd say.
yeah,
Like I'd
that's
say that if you hard, then you hard. Do the
Yeah.
hard, buddy. Oh, you want
Yeah.
hard? No, hard.
Celtic King wants to give you a cuddle.
Sorry?
Celtic
What?
King wants to give you a cuddle.
I'm up for it. I'm doing
Yeah,
it. I'm
definitely.
there, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's go.
Yes, virtual huggles. Charlie, you've seen one of those weird signs too. That imagine how he's touched the sky. There's like super weird ones. I actually stopped following this group closely because, well, people used to do two dumb things. They would flood the group with the same thing. People would post the same thing 6 times a day. And second, people would post stuff that didn't fit the theme, and it was weirdly racist as well. And it's just like, no, the central joke is because of the way someone has laid out a sign or a poster or something, the order of the words is open to interpretation, and it can appear humorous and in fact, occasionally you'd find a real gem and you would just look at the words and the insane the way they were placed and go, I literally cannot make a sensible sentence out of that. No matter how I juggle, they've not only done really stupid layout of the words, they've clearly missed a word or two that they thought they'd put in there, and it absolutely makes no sense at all. Yeah, Charlie, that's a classic one from the first episode of The Walking Dead, when Rick wakes up in the hospital and he doesn't know what happened because he's been unconscious for a couple of weeks. And he sees there's one door where, like, the double doors, someone's wrapped a chain around the handles and they've scrawled on it, don't open, dead inside. But for some reason, they've written don't and underneath open on one door and dead underneath inside on the other door. But that's not how you do English stuff. You read left to right, then top to bottom. So it looks like don't dead open inside. And it's like, what?
Like, okay, right. I don't know about the surgery practices of this hospital.
Yeah.
I want to go to a different establishment.
I think it makes for a good T-shirt, especially for like nihilistic millennials who are always, lacking the will to live sort of thing. Because you put it on your chest, it's like a door to your heart that says don't open, dead inside. The old nihilistic millennials.
I'm there, man. I'm there. I'm onto that.
See, I think Charlie's in the same Facebook group. Come up with another one that's meant to be where we hear fuck, where shit, queer up, which I assume is meant to be we're here, we're queer, we're here to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And Charlie sees them on Tumblr.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing. Oh, Celtic wants to know what we're drinking. I appear to be drinking urine, so...
Right. And I'm, of course, drinking my regulation Victory water, which has been right-sized down.
Right.
Fuckload.
Okay.
I only have like 2 or 3 of these a day now.
Okay.
Whereas I used to have a much bigger cup, right?
Yeah.
Much bigger. and I used to have like 12 cups of coffee a day. And then the people at the hospital said,
No, that will
don't
mess
do
you
that
up.
anymore. No, stop that.
Mm.
And I've gone, why? And they said, you get the diabetes. And I said, no, me and my pancreas are fucking onto it. Like, come on, motherfucker. Right? So we've been at it for years, and so
Yeah.
far I'm winning.
Yeah.
Shut up and get down there and process some insulin, you prick, and a lot of that. But they've said it won't last. So I'm like, brought it.
Yeah.
in.
David's had the appropriate pun. I'm on the piss. This is banana drink. And as soon as I saw the color of it when I poured it into the glass, it's going, yep, that looks like a urine simple.
Yeah, it looks like you watered it down, buddy. You're gonna fool the
It's on
cooks with
ice.
that.
That's why it's a bit watered down. Urine sample on ice.
Yeah.
No, I'm super hydrated. My pee's rarely that yellow, actually. And drink
Yeah?
lots of water.
Mm. I've been
Yeah.
actually a little bit dehydrated. Kidneys aren't working as well as they should.
Yeah.
And you might ask why, and the answer you'd be given is lots and lots and lots of drug abuse.
Yeah.
And
Cumulative.
that's it, really.
Yeah.
It's the end of the story. I've got lots of other diseases that have nothing to do with lots and lots and lots of drug abuse. But that is the outcome of a shitload of NSAID abuse. It wasn't for the NSAIDs. I was doing it for codeine.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I feel like I found something really different for a conversation tonight. I saw this news article today. The headline is quite a long headline. Paris Zoo unveils the Blob, a slime mold with 720 sexes, which looks like a fungus but acts like an animal.
I like it already.
Okay, but
I want to train one.
Listen to this.
I want to train one and bring it to Melbourne and make it catch balls and make dogs bark at it, and then have lots of its sexes jump on the dog and give it blob dogs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this thing, it's a yellowish, unicellular, small living being which looks like a fungus and acts like an animal. And how is that? Well, it has no mouth, no stomach, no eyes, yet it can detect food and digest it. It has almost 720 sexes, and I don't know what that means. Can move without legs or wings and heals itself in 2 minutes if cut in half. So there is now. This is the bit where it gets freaky, as far as I'm concerned. If we put it in a maze, it will learn and take the best route out of the maze to find its food. If we put an obstacle in front of it, the blob hates salt, for example, it won't get past it right away, even if there's food behind it. Then the blob will learn how to get past the barrier and get to its food, and it will start to do this more quickly and more strongly. And if we fuse two blobs together, the one which learned will transmit its knowledge to the other. So that one knows how to get past the barrier now. What the fuck is going on?
Wouldn't you learn a barrier maze real fast to get the fuck out of Paris? Wouldn't you fucking go, I'm in France, time to go. It's time to fucking go. I'm going to Germany or Holland. They've got lots of ecstasy in Holland. I'm fucking learning how to get the fuck out of Paris.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd learn that. Now, like, if microscopic blobs go, I'm the fuck out of here. I have 726 genders. No, they said sexes, didn't they?
720 sexes, and they don't explain that.
Yeah,
so I don't know what that means.
Sexes. I like that. I mean, clearly they're fucking into AIDS action.
Yeah.
Clearly they're up for a little bit of what I'm up for.
So that's what it looks like. It looks like a lichen or a fungus or whatever. But
my little mate.
It fucking learns. That's terrifying. A fucking fungus that learns.
Nah, I like a fungus that learns. Because then, as everyone says, it's going to take over the world and kill all the humans. But it might not. you know, you might turn up and feed it. You know how like magpies, right? If you feed
Yes.
them, they don't attack you,
Yeah.
right? The fungus might turn up like a huge blob, and you go, "Hang on, mate. Here you go. Have a bit of barbecue, have a bit of salad. You know, do you like
Yeah.
that? You like a bit of salad?" And it might go, "Yeah, I like a bit of fucking salad." And you might have a chat, you know, through chemico-electrical barriers,
Yeah.
and you know, it might go, "Oh, that light's a bit strong." "Oh, look,
Yeah.
I'll turn it down for you, buddy. I'll turn it down for you. I've got to turn it up later when I'm having a read." Understood, you know? And then, you know, it might go back to its house, eating
Yeah.
your neighbours, because fuck them. Who likes them anyway? You know, they don't
Yeah.
know my lawn. They don't
Or
know their
just throw
lawn.
salt at it so it fucks off. So
Oh, yeah, I mean, if it's fucking starting to get a little bit, you
yeah.
know, heavy, $50 I need a hit, yeah, throw salt at it. It'll fuck
I
off.
think it's
Yeah.
Invisible Chicken knows poems about the blob. Where the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor right through the door. And all around a wall, a splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob.
Hell yes. I
Yeah.
like it, Invisible Chicken. I don't know if you wrote it or just knew it, but it's fucking awesome.
Yes, a blob poem. That's very quickly on the money.
Absolutely. Hey, do you mind if I go and stick my teeth back on?
Okay, you've got to depart for a little bit.
Just a second. I won't be long.
All right.
I'll even turn the mic off.
All right. So I've just got to. I've got to keep an eye. It's a song from Invisible Chicken. Hello, Annette. How are you? Yeah. So. AD's got to re-stick his teeth, so he'll be gone for a few minutes while he attends to that. And we'll see. I've been getting him to do some research because he enjoyed his research on incels so much. So I'm getting him to research Burke and Wills because they're fucking idiots. We kind of get sold this mythos of them being brave adventurers who struggled and sadly died in the desert, and they were fucking morons. And he said he's found so much stuff he doesn't want to stop researching. So there might be a big Burke and Wills expose next week. Celtic King, I'm not streaming directly through YouTube. I am using a platform, a newish platform called StreamYard, which is actually allowing me to simultaneously stream to YouTube and Facebook. So that's a bit of a thing. And I think they're going to add Twitch to the things you can stream to. So if and when that comes live, I'm not seeing the Facebook comments on the StreamYard. And just okay, so comment from Sue saying, "Really, you've got an opinion? That's a surprise." That seems sarcastic. AZ looks good. Of course he does. So yeah, it's supposed to show me all the comments. What's it doing? It's telling me can't Facebook pages, Facebook groups, Facebook profile, can't post, can read, or is what's it's all very strange. Maybe Facebook profile. What's it saying? Is it for between streams public on Facebook? I thought the stream was public on Facebook. Hang on a second. I have to. It is public. Oh, well, I don't know. It's acting odd. Who knows? So, yes. So at the moment, I'm live streaming simultaneously to YouTube and Facebook, the wonders of technology. And it's so easy to use. Like when YouTube killed Google Hangouts, or Google killed Google Hangouts, which was the easy way to stream on YouTube. All the recommended ways of YouTube are fucked. They're really difficult. You've got to go through this whole technical setup, and It's fucked. Like, they keep doing this. At one point, it was impossible or very hard to stream to YouTube. Look, there's Aidsy coming back. He's back. Got his head on. I was just saying, at one point, YouTube made it very
Hello,
easy to stream
YouTube
live.
friends. Here you go.
Yeah, YouTube made it very easy to stream to YouTube, and then they made it really fucking hard. They got rid of the easy way and made it really fucking hard. And then they made Google Hangouts compatible for streaming to YouTube, which was easy. And then for some reason they fucking killed Google Hangouts, and then it was really hard. And so I was really frustrated and stopped streaming for a little bit. And then I just saw, I think they were advertising on Facebook or something, or maybe I searched how to stream. I don't know. And I found this thing called StreamYard, which was super easy.
StreamYard is really good.
And Project Record and Justin and David. I'm just using my laptop webcam. Are you using a laptop webcam?
I'm using your laptop webcam. Remember the pewter that you gave me about 10 years ago? I'm still using that. Thank you.
5 years ago.
I'm still using what?
Probably a 5 years outdated.
No,
laptop.
it's using Windows 7.
Yeah. That sounds
more
right.
than that. Yeah, it's about 7, 8 years old. And it goes. I just spilt a coffee on the keyboard today.
Oh,
Not the keyboard on the actual pewty, but my keyboard, because I've got manky fingers, right?
Yeah.
Arthritic manky fingers, and I've got to have a bigger keyboard than a laptop keyboard. And so I was drinking coffee, looking at Burke and Wills, which I've got to talk about later. And
I mentioned that you were doing Burke and Wills research. Yeah.
Drinking coffee, and it went splash, and I've gone.
Oh no!
Just like that. Because I killed a keyboard just 2 weeks ago doing the same thing. And I promised myself I'd get cheap keyboards to just rotate in, and no, they're not selling them anymore. So what I've got to do now is get a Speno keyboard with a cheap keyboard just sitting underneath. And when I say cheap keyboard, I mean fucking cheap keyboard.
Yeah, you can get them for about $5 now.
That's what I'm saying. One of them. One of, touch it and you'll get acid and AIDS on your fingers.
Yes. And I just want to say hello to Adele, who came into the live stream too.
Hi, Adele. There you go. So anyway, what I was going to say was, I was replying to you, and you said you were looking at your laptop computer, laptop camera, and my laptop cameras, or your laptop camera, is looking at me and going, "Easy, I'm doing it, buddy. I'm doing you the web, matey." And it's also, I forget to cover it when I'm not live streaming, so it's looking at all of my bank details and everything I say that will be used against me in a court of law.
Well, interestingly, because
which is now illegal. Go on.
Yeah. Well, because people often ask what I do for a job. I work in IT and I'm a contractor, so I move around a bit. And most recently, I've been working on
for the IT world. Yeah,
I've been working on a cybersecurity project, and as part of the sort of branding and raising people's awareness, they got these custom-made little laptop webcam covers that are branded, and they're just plastic with a little sliding thing on them, and you stick it over the laptop webcam, and when you want to use the webcam, you slide the little thing back, and there's your webcam. And when you don't want Johnny Pervy Hacker Boy perving on you, you slide the thing over, and it's covered. Now, I'd been using such high-tech things as like Post-it notes over.
I've been using Dave.
The sliding cover is way sexier than a Post-it
Can I have
note.
one of your sliding covers? Can you ask him nicely? Or is it like a cupboard full of them that don't give a shit?
No, there's a cupboard full. I could like take 50 and they wouldn't notice.
Can I grab a couple and I'll stick it, like 3 or 4, and I'll stick them on my laptop and unsuspecting laptops because I'll colour them the colour of the laptop and just whack them on. then people will be wanting to use their shit and they won't be able to,
Yeah.
and I'll be laughing
Yeah.
at them like, going, ha.
Yeah.
But I won't
Annette
be
said
reading
she's
their
been using
stuff.
Band-Aids.
Wait, what's that?
Annette
Who's been
said
using-
for covering the webcam, she's been using Band-Aids. So
That's actually not a bad idea.
I
It's
like
actually
that.
not a bad idea. I like that. Yeah. Don't fuck up the microphone. Because what I want to do is stop the microphone.
Well, that was a thing I noticed. Like, everyone's up with covering up the webcam, but what was really, there was this something people drew attention to when Mark Zuckerberg was giving some sort of publicity thing, trying to pretend he's a fucking human at Facebook, and he's saying, "Oh, this is us at a typical day at Facebook," and people noted. You notice the webcam's covered on his laptop, and someone who's a bit more eagle-eyed said, "It isn't just that. Look, the headphone jack is filled with super glue." Because everyone knew about the hack that could activate a laptop webcam without the light coming on, without telling you it had been activated.
Yeah.
But what the people didn't know, there was another hack that used the fucking mic and headphone ports as listening devices. Like, a mic doesn't have to be plugged in. And it records very lo-fi sound, but it can record conversations. So that was a real eye-opener, that fucking Mark Zuckerberg super glues the headphone and mic jacks on a laptop. It's like, whoa, there we go.
By the same token, you know, I know all these things because I talk to these people. Not actually bad people, but people who are paid to go and say your security is weak here, and here, because they get asked to, right? So they call it what, PET, penetration something.
Penetration testing.
Yeah, penetration testing, right?
Yeah.
And so they'll do physical, they'll do social, and they'll do hacking. You know, they've got all the areas covered. And you see, some of the American guys are fucking amazing. Some of the penetration ideas is great. But anyway, this guy I was talking to was saying about, you know, the things they can do now. And one of the things that blows my mind is that they can stand kilometers away and throw a laser at your window.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just like a microphone, and it's so fucking good that they can hear your voice clear as day. And he was saying they're not sure, but they're pretty certain that they can now do it from a drone in the sky. Doesn't matter if it's cloudy, doesn't matter if it's clear. They can fucking whack it on your window for 36 hours while it's waiting there. Well, the other thing too is he was saying that there's a rumor that drones now can be refilled in the air. You know, like in flight refueling.
Oh, like recharge them.
Yeah, refueled, and away they go. There's like another drone that's been designed to come out with fucking jet fuel, fuel them up, and then piss off, and they can stay there virtually forever. Anyway,
oh, you're talking about military drones.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so they
I
can
thought you were
shoot a
talking about,
laser
like,
at your
the funeral
window, and you know, they can hear you doing a honky ponky. And
those military ones don't hover though; they fly.
No, they roll around.
Yeah,
and they don't sit there; they roll around. Yeah,
but that laser on the window technology is decades old. People don't realize
it's amazing.
When that came out, like people in big companies, if they've got top secret business meetings happening, they've just been recommended, well, your boardroom has to have heavy, uneven curtains across all the windows because that absorbs sound and the vibrations don't hit the window. Although I read this really big article on someone saying, so when I first heard about this laser on the window thing, and the security guy is testing, and he told them, you need these curtains, you need to do this. And then he went out the back of the building, like where the garbage bins were behind the building, and there were garbage bags full of unshredded documents. And he's going,
it's amazing, isn't it?
Fuck.
But the other thing too, you can do what AIDSy does. You don't need the tech. What you need is a smile, right?
Social engineering is the big one.
It's the big one, right? Doesn't matter, right? What you're doing, you walk in like you're supposed to be there, and doesn't matter who it is. You give them a wave and a big hi. How you doing? Listen, have you seen Exotech and their truck? Have they turned up yet? Because if they haven't, I'm going to start kicking balls. Exotech, have you seen the truck? And of course, they haven't seen the truck, and you make a I wonder if I want to send AZ a new keyboard to clack on. Where would I send it? I've got a new keyboard, but thank you. You'd send it to
Send it
Angry's
to my
PO
post
box.
office box.
Yeah.
Oh, there was
No,
a question. Here's a bit of trivia. Celtic King says
yeah.
that Video Dude, good old VD, has been released from incarceration.
Ooh.
And he asked had I got any mail. I did actually get a notification that I've gotten mail, but I'm not working in the city at the moment. I'm working out in the suburbs, and so I have to find the opportunity to go in the city. I might try and do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
I was going to work in the city one day this week, but then shit happened and it didn't turn out. But yeah, I got a mail notification last Friday, I think, and I haven't been in the city since then. The GPO, where I've got to go get it. Project Redfoot, AZ doesn't have an active YouTube channel as such. There is the AZ Code Grey channel, which has a lot on it, but it's not active.
But I wasn't. I was active on it, and then I couldn't be for reasons. But yeah, if you want to get something to me, send it to the PO box, and I'll get it from there.
The Angry PO
I was going
box.
to finish off the bloody terror of bloody surveillance. Listen, if they want to get your shit, they'll get it. It's just that simple. But the beautiful thing is, if you're AZ, right? Because remember, I usually do cover up my camera. Haven't been lately because I've been live streaming like crazy with Angry. But usually I do cover up my camera. But the other thing is, they can turn your microphone on, and people mumble out their passwords as they put them in their keyboard. Happens all the fucking time. This guy who was doing the penetration stuff was telling me, people mumble out their passwords all the time. So if you've got a mic going, you can hit their stuff really easy. And especially because a lot of passwords are very strong, very difficult to remember. There's strings of numbers and letters and all that sort of stuff. So you've got to read it off somewhere that you've unsafely written it down and read it to yourself as you're putting it into the computer, and they just play the tape back and they're into your account. But the beautiful thing is simply that if you're AZ and they're looking at my keyboard and they're listening to my microphone, I am one of the most boring attack targets you'll ever see. There's fuck all money in my bank. My sex life is awesome, but the camera's not pointing that way, but you get some good audio. But beyond that, me and boss of the house just bicker about who's going to do the washing up. I owe boss of the house dough. Where we going on Friday? Are we going somewhere on Friday? Oh, we're doing something Saturday. We've got somewhere to go on Sunday. It's all that. And basically, a hacker would be shitfully bored, trying to wait for the desperate details of AZ's super secret new recipe for crunchy chips, which I don't have because I can't really cook. I can cook eggs really well, actually. I do a really good scrambled egg and not a bad fried egg. But the trick is butter. You've got to use butter. Anyway, so cybersecurity, if they want you, they've fucking got you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And social engineering is the weak point of any organisation. Because Helen out the front cops shit, and I want to talk to the manager all day. And if you go in and Helen, darling, you are my sweetheart and best friend and a bit sexy, young girl. Just because you're 250 kilos doesn't mean you're ugly to me. Basically, she will let you in to the fucking penthouse. And Happens all the time. Security guards leave chairs in the back door because they go out for a smoke. You know, it's stupid. These fucking big corporate buildings are now, right, or the military ones, are now starting to put smoking rooms inside the fucking building so security doesn't go outside the building, put a door in it, a chair in a door. You know, anywho, all kinds of ways to secure yourself, all kinds of ways to desecure yourself. But you know what it comes down to? Because I was talking to a cop about this, who is he's no longer specialising in, but was specialising in counterterrorism, domestic counterterrorism. Can't really say what he's doing.
Well, Celtic
Anyway,
King is leaving us. Say bye-bye.
see you, Celtic King. Thanks, man. Good to see you. Anyway, he said, look, most people don't look up. You know, if there's a sniper, they're on a building top. Most people don't look up. Most people don't look around them. Most people become unaware of their surroundings, and that's how you get in trouble. So if you want security, have a look at where you are. Have a look at who's around you. Have a look at the entrances and exits to the building. You'd be surprised how many times you're in a building or near a building that's on fire. You will be surprised in your lifetime because you go, oh, yeah, that'll never happen. It will. Believe me, it will. I've been in a burning building 3 times, and it's awkward. It's fucking awkward. You've got to leave the building. And if you don't know where you are, or if you don't know how to get out, the next thing you've got is smoke everywhere. You've got about 10 centimetres and it gets less and less of breathable air on the floor. And then you're crawling on the floor. If you're breathing that smoke, you've got about 10 seconds of usable air. So if you can get out in 10 seconds, fucking yes. But if you can't, you got to get on the floor, you got to know where to go, and then you got to get the door and get out. You know, awkward, all kinds of awkward. So just be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the doors. Be aware of where you'd run if someone come in with a fucking shooter. You know, you wouldn't. Don't jump out windows because you'll cut the shit out of yourself and die of fucking bleeding. But you know, if you're in a cafe or a kitchen or like a restaurant, there's always a back door in the kitchen. Always, it's the law. So run into the kitchen and say to the lad, guy with a shooter. If you're happy with knives, good, or fuck off with me.
So what you're saying about a shooter, that's as good a segue as any into something I was going to talk about. Do you want to say hi to Safa, who came in while we were talking?
Hey, Safa, how you doing?
As I titled this spoiler-free Joker discussion, the new Joker movie. And the shooter thing comes in because before the movie even came out, before it was publicly seen, people had started saying, this seems like a dangerous one, because they seemed to be making the Joker an alienated incel loner type character. And people were worried about like, ooh, you're validating these scary motherfuckers who are already killing people. And this might inspire some others to kill people. And in the US, there was all this hype about frisking people before they go into the cinemas and having plainclothes cops in the audience. And the American media did seem almost genuinely upset that no one got shot at any Joker screenings.
They do that. They do that. It's always disappointing when they do that. I remember the Obama inauguration, and then they came away going, "Oh, everyone was really well behaved, and there was no one that fucking got arrested or killed or shot. No one had a crack at the fucking nigger president." And and it was like, guys, can't you just say it was a really cool day and everyone was feeling good about the world and it was massively attended and everyone knew this was a change in history and blah blah blah. And no, they weren't. No, they weren't going to go there. They were looking for the disaster, and it was like, And this Joker thing, they were going nuts. about it's just gonna encourage people to, get the cold on in their jocks and go hard at the cinema. No one can do that. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Now,
Now,
who
here's
are you going to shoot? Dark.
yeah.
Who's going to see you? How are you going to get the fame? I've seen that a lot in your incel world as I've been doing my research. Yeah, it's all about who's going to see me be the loner freak killer on the edge of existence. Ooh, I'm scary. Who's gonna notice me?
Well, actually, to correct you a bit there has been one shooting perpetrated by one of these right-wing anti-feminist psychopaths. He went to an Amy Schumer film because he knew there'd be a lot of women in the audience, and his express purpose was to kill women. And he shot a whole bunch of people in the cinema. So they do it. It has happened. But not in the obvious ones. Like back in the 90s, there was a huge amount of hype on the Spike Lee film Do the Right Thing because it was about angry black people that it was going to cause rioting in this. And there was no small amount of racism in that as well. And of course, there weren't any shootings despite things. Here's some interesting facts. This releasing a film at this time of year in the US is basically not when you release your blockbusters because it's not a huge movie going thing. Now, the average comic book movie these days has like a $200-300 million budget. Joker has a $55 million budget. And so far,
an art house pick.
Like in 2 weeks, worldwide, Joker's taken $550 million.
Oh, so thank you for coming. Wouldn't it be shitty if you put money in it as a tax break?
Yeah.
It'd be a tax dodge.
No. You're thinking of what's that Mel Brooks film, The Producers, where the central premise is he'll make more money if the thing's a bomb because he's stealing the investors' money. And so he does Hitler on Ice. And it turns, this is the worst thing ever. I'll lose.
It'll go nowhere.
So hard, it turns into this, I'll steal all this investor money. And it turns into a big hit, which is a disaster because then all the investors are owed money.
Yeah, and he sold it 5,000%. He owes the investors 5,000%. Yeah. And he goes, shit, what am I going to do? No one's got the money.
So Joker is actually setting records for a film released at this time of year.
That's amazing. But in Australia and in Canada, I know, but I think it might be in America too. If you put money into a film, you get all of that back. Plus a bit more of the loss. So it's very popular to put money into film as a tax break.
It depends. That law keeps getting changed. In Australia, at one point, the 10BA scheme, it was like 150% tax break.
It's not that now. It's different now.
Interestingly, have you heard of the German filmmaker Uwe Boll?
I have. I've seen some of his work.
Terrible, shitty films, right?
Shocking. And he's not bad in the ring. He'll punch you.
Conspiracy theory that he's made so many films, and it's because of a German tax break that they want him to lose money because they get a bigger tax break. I don't think anyone's ever proven that.
I've heard about
it's like he's made like a dozen terrible shit failure films. It's like,
and they haven't been bloody small either. And people keep on investing in his shit. They know it's going to be crap, but they keep on putting money.
Usually video game adaptations, his films.
Yeah.
And they're usually terrible. And there was this dark rumor that he was meant to fail. And I don't think anyone approved. But of course, then there was the joke. Because people were just always going, Uwe Boll's the worst filmmaker in the world. And he publicly challenged anyone who criticized him to a boxing match. And he beat the fuck out. And I think one person ever took him on. And I think Uwe Boll hurt him.
If it's all over in about 4 seconds.
He's an angry German.
and knew he was training for like 3 months,
Yeah.
and this other guy's thinking, "Oh, it'll be a piece of piss. It'll be fun."
The other guy was like an
No.
internet loudmouth.
Yeah, and he's just kind of whacking the head and
Project
going down.
Redfoot giving out as well. Okay, Project Redfoot says they're going to send us some treats, which would be nice.
Thank you. That'd be really nice. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I have to remember to check the mailbox. But that's cool. Yeah, so Joker, getting back to Joker, not going to say, okay, so anyone who has seen it, this is definitely no spoilers. No plot points, no cool lines, because all the cool, and there are some very good lines in it, but they give away too much of the plot. But I want to talk about thematic things.
Yeah.
One interesting thing is it's not super widescreen. It's set in 1981. It becomes clear it's a period piece.
Right.
And then the way you can benchmark it is he passes a cinema and you see the double feature that's on, and you look up those films and they were released in 1981.
Yeah.
It's set in Gotham, but it's the biggest thematic thing about it is it drops all the fantasy from the stories.
Yeah,
It's just kind of gritty and down to earth. So Gotham just looks like 1980s New York. It doesn't look like a weird gothic comic book city. It just looks like New York.
But DC was funny, Mike. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. And so there's nothing fantastical or supernatural about Joker's origin story. It's
which often make a violent film much more scary if you put it into a real-ish place. A lot of violent films or war films are so fantastical that they really don't reach you as a nasty, violent film, right? But if you put a violent film into a place that is very public, very real, and that becomes very frightening. Because you can imagine someone doing something extraordinarily nasty into a place like, putting a bomb in a bus. Really nasty. Obviously, they're not going to do it here because no one gives a shit. But I'm sorry, I'm just going to whack this in. I live in a block of flats. Years ago, that terrible thing that happened in the Lindt chocolate place. Terrible thing. Fucking idiot guy comes in with guns and shoots people and gets shot himself. And asshole. He pretends he's got something to say, but he doesn't. He's a dick.
No, he was just a dick. He was a dick with a long history of being a dick. He was a domestic abuser. He was a shithead. He was a con man. And he just thought the world owed him something. He tried to dress it up like, I'm with ISIS. And he had the wrong fucking flag.
Even fucking ISIS disowned him, and that's fucking harsh.
And that's just because he's a fucking loser.
Anyway, my next door neighbour was a Muslim. Great bloke. I think you met him, Angry, didn't you?
Yes, I think I did.
Yeah, great bloke. Fucking awesome bloke. And I was going to him, look, mate, if you're going around town and if you're a bit fucking scared of shit going down because people are fucking giving you the eye, fucking give me a call. I can be there in 20 minutes. And he's going, I'm not worried. Why not? No, I'm from Saudi Arabia. He was Iranian. He just walked out the door, and I'm going, thinking fucking Australians don't know that.
No, it's like people abuse.
Completely fucking, in his head, it was like, oh no, he's Iranian. No, people won't hassle me.
Yeah. People abuse Sikhs who are completely different. The guys with the turbans. Like, it's like, if you're going to be an idiot bigot, just do it in the right way. Like, exactly. don't call them. Don't call them, an Islamic terrorist. Just say you're brown. I don't like you.
Exactly, you're brown. I'm freaked out. My culture's going to be different because I haven't really put
the guys with turbans,
my culture down.
They have a longer running fucking conflict with the Muslims than anyone.
Yeah.
And apart from other Muslims, it's like.
Yeah, I was going to say, other Muslims have a long-running conflict with Muslims.
Groundskeeper Willie in The Simpsons is going like, there's nothing like the entrenched fucking antagonism between the Muslims and the atheists, and the Muslims and the Christians, and the Muslims and the Jews, and the Muslims and the Sikhs, and the Muslims and the Muslims. Damn Muslims! It's like
Damn Muslims.
it's just
Anyway.
like. But you could say you can again say that about any religion, the different sects of Judaism, of Christianity, of fucking Buddhists, the fucking splinter sects.
Fucking Buddhists will shoot each other because they're the wrong kind of Buddhist. I didn't know
Westerners
that.
have this ridiculous idealized view of Buddhists, and you go, no, you get Buddhist terrorists, you get Buddhist genocides.
I didn't know that until I was in my late teens that there were Buddhists carrying fucking AKs until I seen video of it. I'm going, and they're wearing the robes, they're wearing the saffron and the maroon, and they're fucking toting these AKs, and I'm going, why don't you meditate on that a bit, boys? Why don't you fucking have a think about what you're doing and who you're doing it to? And I was just mind fucking blown. And then I was led into the ancient and old conflict that was happening because it was, to be fair, it was actually mostly national. But it was, all these places were Buddhist and, shave head, be fucked. I'm going to go and shoot me some people over the hill, which is the way humans have acted for.
That's just humans. Humans do that. Oh, hi, Dr. Obama, by the way. Come into
Dr. Obama. Pleased, honoured, and I'm using my wrong hand because this is good. No, actually, no. Obama fucking signs shit with his left hand, so whatever. Left-handed, sinstral, fucking sinstral.
Yeah, going back to Joker, the whole vibe they're doing different. Like it takes out all the fantastical elements of the comic book movies. Even the color palette is like 70s, 80s film rather than.
And I picked very neatly on the promo stuff that the color palette is actually opposite to what the comic book Joker is. If you look carefully, they've actually negative reversed it. Which I thought was very interesting to me. But I've only seen the promos because I've not got no cash. Angry, got no cash.
But generally speaking, it is an incredibly well-made film. The structure is great. The way it's shot is great. Joaquin Phoenix is great. Starved himself, and his body's really fucking weird. But
and he's a really very good actor. And I hear from well-placed sources that his weirdness goes away when he's off camera. And apparently, very nice guy.
He did this thing with Casey Affleck a few years ago. They just, let's do a really fucking extended prank. And Joaquin Phoenix spent a year pretending to be insane. And all his public appearances were super weird. And everyone's going, oh no, Joaquin's gone off the trolley. He's he and Casey Affleck made a documentary about, and the documentary, it's called I'm Still Here, I think. And I haven't seen it, but it's and then that went to the film festival circuit. Like, wow, why did Joaquin go crazy? And then after 6 months, they went, yeah, it's a fucking prank, bro.
It was a prank. Let it go, guys.
It was basically it was a 2-year performance art piece.
Yeah, you've got to be patient. You know, you got to sit down with your mates and go, what? Say we do a thing for 5 years. And you just go, that's a long time, dude. We could be making inroads into cancer, or we could be and doing something about
basically
Elon Musk's moonshot.
From when he first started acting flaky to when they publicly admitted, no, we were fucking about, was at least 2 years. And for a Hollywood star to just fuck around for 2 years is a really big deal.
A long time.
But yeah, that was a weirdie.
Mind you, there was a lot of really interesting creativity released during the writer's strike. There was a lot of creativity released during the writer's strike because what was starting to happen was all of the links that hold the systems together were starting to fray. And as everyone started to kiss and make up, people got fired, and there was the whole merry-go-round of people getting new jobs in new places, and there was new connections being made. In Australia, it's very interesting. They call it the golden hamster wheel. And what happens is whole groups of channels just move at once, right? But in America, it's different. They had a splintering, a fracturing of people. And so all of a sudden, new neurons were starting up in the industry. And we've seen amazing new TV. We've seen really interesting films. We've seen the superhero films go fucking off. And and Marvel has taken a march on that one, and DC's looking to catch up. And there's a ton of fucking cash in this, so you can believe they're really putting effort in. So when you've got something that Joaquin Phoenix is in, like the Joker, and it's just the Joker, and it's just a period piece in 1981, and you've just got to look at it for what it is. And there's things like, the royal wedding was on. I remember when my brother was born, he was being born as the royal wedding was happening between Charles and Diana. Bloody, what else was happening in 1981? Yeah, there was that. Don't worry about that.
Okay, you got me. Well, I'm going to say a few more things about Joker, and this I want to tie it back into your incel research because it's interesting. Probably the thing that made me laugh the most about it is because the age difference they have between Joker and Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne is in it peripherally, he's a kid. It means in that timeline, Batman's beating up a 70-year-old. Because by the time little Bruce Wayne is an adult and dressed up in the suit and punching the Joker's 70. And it's like, that's not good, dude. That is not really good. You're just punching on a 70-year-old. What the fuck? Dude. So in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways, this is not canon because the most common Joker origin story is he fell into a chemical vat, and that's what bleached his face and scarred it so he has a permanent smile. That's the most common Joker origin story. So this one's completely different. So you could argue it's not canon. But yeah, it's also funny. It would mean Batman's beating up a 70-year-old, which is like not cool. Not cool
dude.
at all.
Come on, man. I mean, we know why you're wearing the mask, You don't want to get arrested for elder abuse. Oh
no, Adele's feeling too stressed to function. Self-care time, Adele. You've got to look after yourself. Get some sleep. Oh, Mystery 09. Hello. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. So the incel thing, what some people worried about, I was like, in this one, Joker is this alienated outsider, and people go, oh, what if they identify with him? And some interesting insights. There's a podcast called Chapo Trap House that I listen to semi-regularly. It's a very political American podcast by some young millennials. They're late 20s, 30s. I don't know how old they are, but they're 20s, 30s. And they're quite radical left politics. Like they're revolutionary left politics. They think the only answer is like for, Bernie Sanders to fucking blow everything up.
Okay, so tell us how you really feel. Yeah.
They are quite radical, revolutionary leftist in their politics. They tend to not like concepts like intersectional politics, like if people want to frame things through, feminist terms or in terms of race or whatever, which I think is a massive blind spot they have. They think, no, it's got to be revolution or it's nothing. It's like, dude, your worldview is not everyone's worldview. You need to fucking embrace that. But anyway, they did a massively spoilery talk about the Joker movie. So don't listen to their podcast about the Joker movie unless you want them to tell you every major plot point. But again, just talking thematically, they rightly point out the fucking Joker movie is about class war. Because he whips some of the populace gets whipped up, fucking Thomas Wayne, Bruce's dad, is pretty much cast as a bad guy. He's the benevolent billionaire who thinks anyone who's not rich just didn't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And the Joker is the alienated outsider, and other disenfranchised people start to associate with him to the point where, everyone's arguing like, fuck the rich people. And there's this tabloid newspaper headline they keep showing people reading, and it's just in huge fucking letters, kill the rich.
Right.
So the movie is addressing really radical class politics. And the Chapo crew, they had an interesting take. And this, I think, ties in with your ability to be empathetic to incels and not do the knee-jerk, they're horrible little fucking shits.
Yeah.
They said, when you look at this thing, and it's not just young white men, but there's a particular sort of alienation and disaffection young white men and even middle-aged white men get. And there's a different sort of disaffection, but similar in women, in other races, in other cultures and whatnot. But the alienated white man thing, and they just say, look, there's two ways to go. And all the people who are wringing their hands over the potential of the Joker movie to set off some incel are like, they're only looking one way to go. And this what these guys argue, and I agree with them. This is what a brutal capitalist society does with this alienated young men, is push them into nihilism and isolationism. And this is where you get your fucking shooters from, because they're completely alienated. They feel completely alone. They develop an overwhelmingly nihilistic worldview, and they just fucking shoot people. That's what you get with the incels, with the black pill MRAs, with all these super fucking hostile people. They're pushed into this alienation and nihilism. And of course, the other way to go is when just the shittiest aspects of our capitalist society alienate someone, the alternative route is solidarity. It's like, well, if we all realize this is actually class-based, and it's like with fucking Ellen DeGeneres palling around with George fucking Bush, because I think we should be nice to people we disagree with. It's like, no, Ellen, see, being nice to people you disagree with, it's like, I'm not religious. I can be nice to religious people and share the experience. I'm a white dude. I can be nice to people who aren't white and learn from their culture. And I go, I'm a dude. I can be nice to women. And I'm straight. I can be nice to non-straight people and do this.
Not that nice,
George
though.
Bush is a fucking war criminal. He's a war criminal who led the world into an unjust war based on lies that he knew were lies, and he and his cronies collectively stole billions of dollars under the cover of this, and they killed over 1 million people, and they overall made the world much less safe than it was before. They are personally, directly responsible for the sharp increase in Islamic extremist terrorism that we saw afterwards. So they are directly, personally responsible for the squandering of over $1 trillion and the death of over 1 million people, more than 95% of whom, probably more than 99% of whom, were fucking civilians.
Yep.
And that's their, and they profited to the tune of billions of dollars. It's not a different opinion.
You're not saying
He's a
billions of
fucking
dollars,
war
you're saying
criminal.
billions of dollars each, not just billions of dollars. It was billions of dollars each. And the stupid part was, if they'd have just told the fucking truth, the Americans would have been right behind them, and it would have been quick. If they'd have told the truth and said Saddam Hussein is trying to sell oil in euros and not dollars, the American people would have gone, go and cut his balls off, right? And they would have been right behind it. They would have got the budget for the war they wanted, and that would have been just a slap. And the whole scenario of that country would have been different. They wouldn't have disbanded the army. Stupidest thing in the world.
That was
They
one of their super big mistakes, disarming the
mistake.
army.
And
It's like
well,
they
no,
would have just gone on.
disbanded. They didn't even disarm them. They said, "Oh, every house has got to be allowed a gun." It's like, fuck me, are you serious? And then they disbanded the army. So you got all these guys who haven't been paid with a fucking gun running around. It's like, oh, like fucking take it off the other tribe. And then
And that's where we get ISIS.
Then you got the Ba'athist Party who are in all of the administration and say, oh, no, you're all out of office. So you got all these people in administration who didn't know how to administrate and fucked it royally. And you get guys who run down the streets of cities with generators putting up, just power cords to different houses, and they get money per month to give people electricity because the administration of the city can't fucking get this shit together to get electricity happening. Fucking crazy shit like this, which all could have been fucking avoided if they'd just told the truth. The people would have been right into that. And then the fucking Afghanistan.
Afghanistanian.
I don't know where I'm talking. Afghanistan war. It was a different fucking thing. There's a whole very nasty group of people saying, the bloody what were they called? Al Qaeda can fucking hang with us, and they can be safe here. And it's like, fuck that. And the world went, fuck that. And so that was a different thing. I heard about the situation in Iraq, reported about by ABC and SBS, and 2 weeks later, fucking it disappeared. It just went down into a dark, dark hole. And I was going, where'd that go? And because they were saying, oh, that's what it's about, and then boop, just gone. Someone pulled the plug. And you're not fucking talking about that anymore. It's all weapons of mass destruction. Wouldn't you, right? If you just set up a bullshit story about weapons of mass destruction, wouldn't you go and put a bomb, like a nuclear bomb and a fucking tube of gas into a fucking shipping container and bury it in the sand and go and find it? Wouldn't you do that at least?
That to me was the weirdest thing, that they could have faked it and everyone believed, but they were so sure they didn't have to, that they could just lie. They never even bothered to justify it. It's like, oh yeah, we're in on a lie. Nah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Yeah, sorry about the 10,000 troops who died.
Yeah,
whatever.
They could have faked it really easily, but they just went, oh, why bother?
Yeah.
We went in on a lie. What are you going to do? It's,
It's like, it would have been a piece of piss. Just find some shit buried, and fuck, there's a nuclear war here, a bomb here, and this is bad shit. There's a meth lab. Fucking no, don't. No, it would have been a piece of piss.
Halfway. I'm gonna make a cocktail. I actually saw one today on a website.
Now that's fucking made me got the shit. I'm fucking putting my ears off, and I'm leaving the camera. I'm going.
You've got to excuse yourself momentarily. Okay, so I'm going to make a cocktail. I saw this one today, and it was called A Drunk Uncle, which was a great name. And I'm going to improvise a bit. This will be a drunk Irish uncle. The recipe I saw said 1 shot of scotch, half a shot of sweet vermouth, and half a shot of Amaro, which is a bitter Italian aperitif. I'm going to improvise and change that up a bit. I'm going to make it with Irish whiskey rather than Scotch whiskey. And I have this fun thing here. I love the name of it as well. This Puntamez. Puntamez? I always pronounce Puntamez. Aperitivo original. Es punto de vermouth as Amaro. This is actually a mix of vermouth and Amaro. So it's in one thing. So I'm going to do 1 shot of this and 1 shot of Irish whiskey. And I am actually going to put just a bit of sugar syrup in, because that's just bitter, and I'm gonna edge out the bitterness. And I just realized I'm gonna have to go off screen for a second and grab my cocktail shaker. It's just over here. Oh, cocktail shaker. All right, got my cocktail shaker. AZ's still not back. I'm just checking because I can see his little window. Get my tiki mug. Yeah, this is not the way you're supposed to do it. It's just the way I like to do it. My tiki mug and a big old block of ice from my big old block of ice cube tray. I like my big blocks of ice. Shopping, especially shops. All right, I can hear him.
Big blocks of ice, and he loves them, and he puts them in a big glass because he's angry.
Put AZ back in here. So here's a question for the folks in the chat. Could you hear AZ singing before he appeared? Because I could hear him, but I don't know if that's just because I'm controlling the studio. So for the people in the chat, did you hear AZ singing before he actually came back into the chat? Line Spider wants me to do a Tom Cruise and flip the cocktail shaker. No, I've never bothered to try and be shown. Oh, Beatles fan said yes. And music over here. That's cool. So yes, we did hear your singing before I put you back in the chat room. So that's good. I forgot
I've got a cool little light on my microphone, which I'll show you now. There's my cool little light. And I can be muted. Hang on. I'll put it in front of the camera. So I can be muted.
You can be munted.
And when my light goes on, you can't hear anything. So when I come back from a special cocktail break, I'll put my light off and I'll start going, big ice blocks. And Angry will go, oh yeah, big ice blocks. And put me back on the screen. Otherwise, he punishes me.
All right. So this is your drunk Irish uncle I'm making now.
Cool.
Irish whiskey, and this is my own version of a cocktail called a drunk uncle. Irish whiskey instead of Scotch whiskey. And a full shot of this stuff. Oh, that's not right. I put it in my glass rather than the cocktail shaker. That's all right.
Don't you hate that? I hate that. Because when I'm making a coffee, right, I'm always milking first.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll look at me coffee and go, what's wrong with that? And I'm going, watering first. And I'm going, well, that's ruined. I have to chuck that, start again. My coffee is ruined. If it's watering first, forget it. It's over. Because you burn the coffee with anything over 92 degrees Celsius. And of course, we all know water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So, put your milk in first, and then your coffee won't cook or boil or burn. And then effectively, you've got a really nice coffee. If it's too cold, whack it in the microwave. It'll heat up just nice. So you've got your shaker. You're shaking it like mad with your drunk uncle. And it's whiskey and what else?
Well, the one that I saw that I like the sound of is whiskey and sweet vermouth and an Italian aperitif called Amaro. But I have this beverage called Punta Mez, which is actually vermouth blended with Amaro. So instead of half a shot of each, I put a full shot of this one in. So it's like a hybrid. I did put a little bit of...
Let's mix them.
Did put a little bit of sugar syrup. I had my special Lady Grey tea infused sugar syrup. So it's very brown.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty well.
Yeah, very brown indeed. Which is what Australia's going to do if we don't watch it.
See this. Oh man, that's good. A good cocktail has multiple flavors as it goes down.
Yeah, it should. It should. A good cocktail should really tease and dance. Like a good single malted Scotch should do.
See, that's the thing. A lot of people think because I make a lot of cocktails. Maybe I'm like a Scotch aficionado. Not really. I mean, I have done tastings and whatnot, but it's like good Scotch is wasted on me, I think.
Whereas I can tell different rocks in Scotch,
Yeah.
and I can tell you roughly where it comes from in Scotland. And
that's the real aficionado sort of trick. But this one, the initial taste of this is you get sweetness, which is probably coming from both the Irish whiskey and I did put a little bit of sugar syrup in, and then as it washes down, like the last as it goes down, this stuff, the Amaro, which is a bitter aperitif, and it's not over the top bitter. Like there's this popular red bitter Italian drink called Campari, which I can't fucking stand. It's too bitter. And because there's a really popular trendy cocktail at the moment called Negroni, and fucking hate it because it's got Campari in it and it's too bitter.
Look at me, I've got a Negroni. It's like,
no, that's probably the two most common sort of popular cocktails at the moment. Espresso martini, which I don't like because I don't like coffee. And
I love that. I love the shit out of an espresso martini.
I bet you do. And a Negroni, which I don't like because of the fucking Campari. And Mrs. Angry agrees because we often go out and we have a cocktail or two in places, and because different places do slightly different spins on a Negroni and whatnot. And we've tried it in like 4 different places. Like maybe it was that place was just bad. No, fuck, I don't like it. So we have decided we definitely don't like Negroni. But this has an almost coffee-like sort of bitter wash at the end.
Yeah,
so
right.
A little journey across the tongue, going from sweet through to this almost coffee-like bitter. It's really an interesting drink.
Well, you can see why Uncle starts to tell stories of an embarrassing nature at get-togethers. Because
your drunk Irish uncle gets a few of them in him, and
he starts going, "Did you know what your mother did at school? Do you know why your dad and your ma have such an old first kid?"
It reminds me, one of my favorite podcast, the Blind Boy podcast. Irish comedian, half of the Rubber Bandits. His stage name is Blind Boy Boat Club, and he has an incredibly popular podcast. It's been running for I don't know a year or two now, 2 years, and he hasn't done it recently, but every now and then he's very good. When you're from outside Ireland, you sometimes think there's only one Irish accent. But there's like 12. There's all these provincial accents.
Yeah. There's a heap.
When you hear them next to each other, they're really, really different. Yeah. And he's got, I think he's got a Cork accent, which is a very pleasant, easy. He's got the sexy Irish accent. It's either a Dublin or Cork accent that he has, and because some Irish accents are much harsher. And
I was going to say Dublin accent's pretty harsh. We had a Scots girl who was helping us with the show, and she used to bring out this Dublin accent every now and again. I was like, shit, the programs are going to kill me.
Yeah. I think Blind Boy has a Cork accent, but like particularly some of the rural accents are very fucking rural, quite honestly. Yeah. I had one. I used to work in a call center, and if you ever work in a call center in Australia, you get a lot of people from the British Isles who are out here on holidays doing it, and you'll get some Londoners, some Southern English, some Northerners, the occasional Scot, and some Irish people. And I think we had one guy, and he's like, "Oh, how's everyone?" And when he left, and this weirdly, someone's coming in was also Irish, but he's from Dublin. And so he had a city accent, and he's just like, just because I'm from Ireland, I don't speak like him. I'm not from a fucking farm, okay? He's just like, he's actually much more sophisticated in the country. But anyway, so Blind Boy has a Cork accent, but he has this character he does occasionally because he thinks basically Donald Trump's tweets are so out there. He'll occasionally read Donald tweets Trump's in the voice of your drunk Limerick auntie. And he's just going,
that's fantastic.
You know what I mean? Your auntie from Limerick's there, and, she's on her third sherry for the evening. And she just wants to start telling you things.
Yeah,
and it just does this, and that's weird. It's again because like it's clearly an Irish accent he's doing. It's completely different to his
Regional,
accent.
yeah.
And doing Donald Trump tweets as read by your drunk limerick auntie is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, it is. You know what else is fun? When you go on the internets and you watch your YouTubes and you watch how to make computers go, right? This is how to make Python go.
Yes.
And not snakes, but the computer language.
Yes, the language.
Right.
Yes.
This is how to make stuff go in your databasing, and you hear it's an Indian doing the lecture.
Yes.
With an Indian accent.
Yes.
But the Indian has got a different bend on his English accent because he's clearly been to Australia for several years, and he can start to hear his A's and the diphthongs coming through his vowels. And you go, ooh, you were in Melbourne for a few years, buddy, and you can, and you can hear Asians do that too. Like there's a few Japanese and a few Chinese who, when they start speaking English from on the tubes of you from home, they start a little bit of Australian creeps in, a little bit of Sydney, a little bit of Melbourne. You just go, ooh, hello, welcome home.
Because I work in IT. We get a lot of people here on visas. You get a lot of people from the subcontinent.
Yeah.
But what I found where you get the most variation in accent is people from Southeast Asia.
Yes.
And you go, okay, I can tell who your English teacher was. Like your English teacher was actually from your country because you're speaking English with an Asian accent. I go, oh, your English teacher was actually English because although your accent, you clearly come from Southeast Asia, there's all these English intonations of, oh, your English teacher was American because you've got some, or you learned from TV or something because you've got American intonations in there. And then it's like, oh, your English teacher was Australian. Okay.
And there's a lot of Japanese that you hear, and they've got the Australian accent because there's a lot of Australians that go over to Japan to teach English for a year or two.
Hey, young Ms. Angry she's not teaching, but she's going to uni in Japan next year on exchange.
Awesome.
So that's a big friggin'. She's going to Osaka. So that's a big friggin'.
That's not going to suck one little bit. That's going to be awesome. So she got it then. Well done.
Yeah, no, she's pretty excited. Hey, apropos of nothing, like my sexy microphone here. I want to. I actually just before going live, I actually got the mic stand put up properly for the first time ever. But this has another setting. I want to see if this works. Now you've got headphones on, so tell me, am I going from ear to ear when I do this?
A little bit. You are going from ear to ear, but you've gone very quiet.
From Australia, tell Laura I love her. Or the other possibility is this setting, because I'm not reading. Is that going ear to ear at all?
Bit, yeah. It's not full on.
Because anyway, I'll just go to the front microphone again, because this is the one I got for us to do podcasty stuff for, because it's like got three settings, and one is just the front bit is on, but there's another setting where it's picking up at the front and the back, so we could put the microphone between us, and we've got our own sides of the microphone.
That is so our life. Two men sitting across the table, starry eyes, but a microphone between them.
Wants to know if there's
the angry age relationship right there.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Aiden's much better at picking Australian accents than me, particularly being able to tell the difference between Sydney and Melbourne. Now, I grew up in the country, lived in Sydney for 10 years, and lived in Melbourne for 20 years. So I have no idea where my fucking accent sits on the spectrum now, which one is the biggest influence on it. kind of when I get angry and start swearing, I think more of the country comes out.
Mhm.
But, but yeah, having spent 10 years in Sydney and 20 years in Melbourne, I think it's a bit more fluid than. No, I don't think it's locked in a particular zone. But
It
I'm
is a
going to
little more
you're
fluid,
actually
but
better at picking Australian accents than me.
yeah, it's a little fluid. But what its basis is the the inner country, the inner New South Wales country, which would make sense from the Walla Walla.
Yeah,
But
because
then
that's where
you've
I
got,
learned to speak.
yeah, yeah. You're always going to bring your native with you, especially if you're not in an environment where you've got to speak a different language,
Yes.
like George Denikian. I'll tell you his story in a bit. And then the Sydney's not really very evident except in pacing, and what you've got is the rounded out edges of the Melbourne. So, and it's Melbourne corporate. Uh, It is
Yes,
Melbourne
that would
corporate.
make
It's
sense. Yeah.
the gentle tones of the professional. So
Yeah.
you would expect doctors, Melbourne doctors, to sound like that. You'd
Mm,
expect Melbourne high-end corporate to sound like that.
mm.
And it's basically very culturally Australian. And what interests me about it is that, because this is a thing, okay?
Mm.
Right. In Australia right now, we have this policy that people who are trying to get here as refugees by boat are taken and put in concentration camps, and nothing is heard of them again. It's shitty. It's a shitty policy, and it was basically put in there because there is a place in Australia called Western Sydney. It
Yes,
is
it's
fucking
west of Sydney.
enormous. It's the west of Sydney, and basically it is literally 7% of the Australian federal vote. Now, when they think about immigration, they think immigration is Sydney and it is West Sydney. And you can fuck off. We don't want that anymore. And what this comes to is an insecurity about cultural markers. What they see is people coming into their environment with very clear cultural markers. Muslims have ways of dressing and ways of worshipping. Um, Africans are black and they have very distinctive ways of talking and ways of acting, and ways of smelling too. They don't wash much because water's way more precious in a lot of African places. Why would you
Yeah.
waste it by washing? Same thing you get with a lot of Indigenous guys in the centre of Australia. Um, and what's happening there in Western Sydney is there's no actual what are we as Australians. No one stood up and said, well, let's have a fucking massive street barbecue and say, this is what we do here. Let's fucking organise bloody volunteer bushfire brigades like they
Mm.
do in the country, because guess what? Fires can go fucking anywhere in Australia,
Yeah.
and do. But one year a fire went into the heart of Canberra, right in the middle of the city. It was a bushfire that went right into the actual middle of the city, was burning shit out of everything, wiped out 3 suburbs. Thousands of people were homeless, and 2 people died, which was a fucking tragedy in bushfire terms.
Mm.
So what you've got is people thinking that they're getting cultural dilution, but not making cultural markers for themselves. I mean, the national dish of Australia is toast. Why don't we celebrate toast? You can have toast with anything. You can have toast with eggs. You can have toast with Vegemite. You can have toast with Weet-Bix.
With
Um,
mashed avo.
it's an extreme. You can have toast with mashed avo. That's actually an awesome way to do it. And put a bit of sauce of choice. Like I like Cole's special sauce, which is like a bit like your McDonald's
Oh yeah, they're knockoff of the McDonald's Big Mac sauce.
Big Mac sauce. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you've got in Australia is they're forgetting to do their own cultural markers, and they're seeing other cultural markers come in, and they think, oh, our culture's being diluted. Well, what is it? What are you going to say about yourself? And if they did say this about themselves, they wouldn't be so scared, and you wouldn't have politicians going, "Fuck me, we have to appease these people, or we're going to get thrown out of government." And it's true. It's 7% of the vote. If you lose 7% of the vote, you're going to fucking lose. Remember, in Australia, which is different to a lot of other countries, all the adults vote. Everyone over 18 is compulsorily got to turn up on voting day and get their name marked off, and you get your piece of paper and you go over the booth and you vote. Why is it compulsory for all adults to vote? It's because all Australians are responsible for the government they put in. We get the government we fucking deserve, and haven't we lately? Jesus, haven't we? Yeah, we wanted our ass kicked.
We've been bad in a former life.
Yeah. Oh, we've come back as a bad
just
thing.
Divert you a bit, because I was just checking on Facebook, because last time we did this stream to Facebook and YouTube, the Facebook comments showed up on the StreamYard stream, and they're not tonight. Something's glitching. And I did just want to say hello to a couple of people, like Abigail, who did mention there's no back. Remember we were talking about there being a back door in kitchens?
Yes.
She mentioned there's no back door in the kitchen of the cafe she works at. And I said, that's a bit dirty. Yeah.
That's illegal.
Backdoor action. And also hello to Greg and Phil, as in DT Phil.
Hey, DT. How you doing, man? Just call
just here's something you can identify with, AZ. Abigail throws in, she'd been waiting for 6 months on a waiting list for a pain clinic for chronic pain, and finally has an appointment. You know nothing about pain clinics making you fucking wait for an extended period.
I don't know anything about pain clinics making you wait, especially when they're a bit dirty on you. Abigail, when you go in to talk to these crazy folks, what you will mention is that the pain you experience wakes you up sometimes. You will mention that. Okay?
Yeah.
Do not forget that line, and do put it in.
That was the weirdest thing of when I fucked up my shoulder just by sleeping on it.
That happens.
I ignored it for months, and the pain got worse and worse to the point it was waking me up. And at which point I thought, I actually have to stop being a typical male and ignore
do something about this,
and go and see a physio, and which he eventually fixed it. But yeah, it was that thing where I go like, this pain is so bad, I actually cannot sleep. And I go, oh wait, that's what every joint in AIDS's body feels like all the time.
I had a weird experience in the third last hospital visit I had. I had the crazy women and guys coming around all the time giving me pain meds, and I'm thinking they must be starting to get pissed off of this. And a few of them were a bit snarky, but most of them were like, hey buddy, what's your name, what's your date of birth? And I'd reel off my number as well, going, yeah, it's a party trick. And I was saying to them, yeah, I'm such a pain wimp, which is why I go all these meds all the time. And they're looking at me like with bright eyes, and I'm going, because I was getting up to go to the lavatory. Yes. And so they're looking at me with bright eyes, and I'm going, yeah, I'm shocking like that. And wandering back and said, just stop for a sec. Yeah, what? And I had turned around on a nut or a screw or something, and a protrusion somewhere, and cut right across my my arm down to my elbow, and it had dripped on the bed and on the floor, and I missed it. And they said, what happened here? And I went, what happened where? And they pointed out the blood, and I'm going, the fuck, where'd that come from? And then it was on me, and I went, oh, I know what that is. And we looked around for a while and found the protrusion. But I said, oh, I missed that. Yeah, sorry about that. It's a bit close to the actual joint. So that's where I miss them. I actually skin my knuckles all the time because they're joints that hurt. I miss the new hurt.
All
So
right.
I'm probably going to get leprosy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's really weird is I get chronic pain, and then I'll get an acute pain, which I'm not used to. And because I've been years and years and years working on the chronic pain, I'll get this acute pain and go, fuck, I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking die. And when I fell down the stairs and broke shit.
That was
lots of
acute.
shit.
Yes.
Like I broke my my collarbone in a couple of places and several ribs, and like it was fucked. And I was going, and it was me falling off a stair. You know,
Yeah.
I've learnt two things from the experience. I'm not 21 anymore, and I respect stairs.
Yeah.
Respect your stairs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I'm
they'll
not
hurt you.
21 anymore. People say, "How old are you?" And go, "How old am I?" I fucked up my shoulder by sleeping years old. And,
Yeah, exactly.
and
how
how
old are
old
you,
am I? I can't stand up from a lounge without making a noise years old. You go, I can't just get up. You got to get up and go, "Ugh."
That's it. Yeah. When you bend over, you make an involuntary. How old
I
are you,
don't
AJ?
move without
I'm
making
old
noise
enough to know
anymore.
not to step on stairs when they're looking at you and being disrespectful. You know, fucking cheeky stairs. You just miss them, mind you. You might fall down and hurt yourself a bit. It was very disturbing to not be able to pick myself up from my fall down the stairs. Mind you, I had hurt
Oh
myself.
no, yeah.
Unahu. So I when you're going in to see the pain clinic folks, remind them that your chronic pain wakes you up. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
And
big
that
one.
will help.
Well,
Look, what happens with the pain clinic is seriously 70% of people there are there to try and scam shitloads of drugs. That's what they feel, that's what they see. And so as a result, they get very antsy about helping you, right? So you've got to basically prove to them that you're not fucking around because they can't measure pain. No one can measure pain. Only you can feel it. No, don't get into that now. Only you can feel it. And everybody's pain is their pain. Okay. Your doctors can't see it. They can't make it not real. They can only treat the nervous or brain or sight symptoms with different drugs. And there's also attitudinal stuff that they will teach you, which is important. The attitudinal stuff is actually very important. And because of that, so many people go into the pain clinic with back pain that they see it all day, and they get very jaded, and they basically go, it's fucking, a junkie who wants, fucking drugs, whatever.
I mean, I had an ex who was a nurse, and some of the medication chasers would fucking break bones to get.
Oh yeah. Oh fucking oath. Sometimes they'll
break a
teeth
finger to go into outpatients to get some endone or something. So it's not without cause that they're so fucking cynical.
Oh
but
no. No, it's not.
Considerable hardship to people in actual pain that they didn't deliberately inflict on themselves. That these actual sort of fucking medication chasers will fuck themselves up to get it. So
and there's a thin line too, because I'm a bad drug pig, and
there
was
is that.
on the AIDSy pain program for a long time, which strangely wasn't good, and caused its own difficulties and problems. Ask Angry for tips. There wasn't times when actually it's funny because you can go back in Angry videos with me in them and see that I'm stoned out of my fucking head.
Well, there's one I never shared with anyone that not even you've seen it, I don't think, when you fell asleep standing up. And I had a camera running at the time because you're going to go, and you were like, no, I'm fine. and you're
I'm
leaning on your
fine.
stick, and you actually just slowly doze forward, and you're still standing up, but you're doing like this, going.
Yeah.
And I
Snore.
left you for a couple of minutes with the camera running, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, all right, time to wake up. And you're like,
Bang! He's gone.
dude, I actually have video evidence.
Mm,
You lost consciousness,
mm,
but stayed standing up. So,
mm. Well, the trouble with that, and I still do it, is that what would happen in those days, especially, but I still do it now. In those days, especially, what would happen is that I'd be in so much pain that I wouldn't sleep for more
yeah,
than
no,
2
sleep
hours a
deprivation
day.
is a much bigger thing for you. When people go, oh, he's really stoned. I go, no, he hasn't slept for 3 days. That's what's going on there.
And I'd
I can
go
tell the
4,
difference.
4 or 5 days with maybe 1 to
Yeah.
lucky to get 3 hours sleep,
Yeah.
and not connected. Still today, I don't get connected sleep. So I'll sleep for 1.5, 2 hours, then wake up. Then another 1.5, 2 hours, then wake up. Had a really bad skin infection on my foot. June ended up on IV antibiotics. Got Oxy for a week. I can see how you could get addicted to it. Shit, yes, David Hill. And I was only on codeine, but Oxy's fucking awesome. Any of your morphines, really?
Yeah, the opiates are
Anywho,
pretty strong. Yeah.
I would get so tired, and then I would add a shitload of opioids, and then I was just gone. I could go at any point, and I was so used to powering through that I would sleep anywhere and standing up. Because what would happen is my body would insist that my brain shut down for even moments.
Yeah.
It would just take off and go, no, dude, if we don't sleep, you're going to go fucking nuts. So we insist on sleep
Yeah.
now. And it was like, no, I'm standing up and doing work. And I
Yeah.
just, I just, it was like someone's pulled a plug and now batteries have run out.
Yeah.
Put some 3AAs up his bum, he'll be fine.
That'll get him going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I want to
you
share.
get my heart.
I'm going to share another thing, a pain scale, an alternative pain scale. This
Mhm.
is from a website called Hyperbole and a Half, which is fucking hilarious. But
Right.
she hasn't updated it for years. This is one she had to go to hospital, and this was a pain scale they heard, and she rated it as 0 is I'm not wearing pants. 2 is awesome, someone gave me a free hot dog. 4 is I never knew that about giraffes, and then there's 6 is I'm sorry about your cat. Can we talk about something else on board? 8 is the ice cream I bought had barely any cookie dough in it. And number 10 is you hurt my feelings and I'm crying. But that's the actual official pain scale they had at the hospital. And she said that's not even useful and it doesn't have all the numbers and it's stupid. So I made one with all the numbers. And those are the pictures that go with it. So we've got 0 is I'm not experiencing any pain at all. I don't know why I'm here. 1 is I'm unsure whether I'm experiencing pain or itching, or maybe I just have a bad taste in my mouth. 2 is I probably just need a Band-Aid. 3 is this is distressing. I don't want this to be happening at all. 4 is my pain's not fucking around. 5 is why is this happening to me? 6 is ow, okay, my pain's super legit now. 7 is I see Jesus coming for me. I'm scared.
To the light.
8 is I'm experiencing a disturbing amount of pain. I may actually be dying. Please help. 9 is I'm almost definitely dying. 10 is I'm actively being mauled by a bear. 11 is blood is going to explode out of my face at any moment. And then there's too serious for numbers, which is
Yes.
you probably have Ebola. It appears you may be suffering from stigmata and or pink eye. So that is a much better pain scale.
Much
really.
better pain scale. Yep. Absolutely. I can dig that pain scale and have absolutely experienced every single one of those. Tell you what's nice is when you go from 8, 9.5 down to 4, 5 in just one injection.
Yes. Oh, when you have one of those morphine things with the button that you're allowed to go.
They are a special gift from God. There is a deity, and they supply a morphine with a button. that's when you know you're going to a better place.
Yeah.
When they take it away, you go, oh, atheism's
Yeah.
returned. But you
Sorry.
press your button and you get morphine in you. And you go,
yeah.
oh, good, click. And what happens is they limit it. And
Yes,
you get a
you can only do it a
little bit
certain number of
less.
times.
Well, no, you can every time. It's timed, like every
Yeah,
5 minutes.
I mean, it's a certain number of times an hour is.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me. As
Yeah.
long as you're awake, click. Mind you, to be fair, it was really weird when I was there in hospital with my clicker, because the nurses were going, keep clicking as much as possible.
Yeah.
You won't feel. And then the pain doctors come, oh, try and go easy on the morphine. I'm going, but they and then some of the doctors would come around and say click like mad, and some of the doctors would come around and go, oh, go easy on that. And I go, what the fuck? Can you all talk to one another, please? Big mistake. We'll never make that mistake again. I am sorry. I am still paying for that mistake, asking them to all talk to one another. But your GP will get all their letters and compile them and go, oh, you've got Ebola. So yeah, but yeah, the clickers PCA, patient-controlled
Yeah.
anesthesia.
You
And you get them
randomly
really
reminded
controlled.
me of all the many animated series that been. There was a very short-lived one, and there was only one season of it, and only I was just quickly looking it up, and only about 4 episodes were initially aired in the US because of a combination of not great ratings, plus pressure from religious groups. Because the series was called God, the Devil, and Bob, and
Yeah, I've seen one of them.
yeah, it's really good. I really like it. There's this guy
Yeah.
called Bob, and I don't know, God and the devil have like a deal that, you know, whether he's a good or bad human. I forget the exact premise, but it's basically God and the devil are continually interacting with Bob. And at one point, he gets put in a mental institution because he tells the wrong person. He talks to God and the devil, and they visit him and stuff. And it turns out that everyone in the insane asylum can see God because no one except Bob can see God. But everyone in the insane asylum can see God when God visits Bob in the asylum. And God's saying, I feel really. And it was James Garner, good old Rockford, who voiced God. And
Yeah.
it was great, just that light Texan drawl. And
Yeah.
it's a very laid back God as played by James Garner. But when God's visiting Bob in the asylum and saying, like, you might learn something here, I'll try and get you out. And, you know, maybe this will make you a better person. Maybe you'll learn something. And Bob goes, I've already learned something, God. And he goes, what's that? He goes, me likey Thorazine. He's just getting hit up with a really powerful psychoactive drug. And he's just like, yeah, pretty fucking good, actually.
Pretty good. That's Thorazine. I only got the Thorazine once. And there was a good reason for it. I had a nurse who was busy and working hard, accidentally step on a connected line of a lot of IVs that I had in me, and they all ripped out at once, and it made a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And they had to come and put them all back in, and they had to put them all back in different veins, and they had to stitch up. A lot of mess, and a lot of, oh fuck, that hurts. And they had to put me in a place where I was going to be very calm and very still. And
Which
so they would,
Thorazine's really good at.
yeah, and there was a lot of doctors there. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a shitload of doctors there because the med called it. And like 24. And they said, yep, all right, we're going to hit him up with a Thorazine. I'm going, no, I haven't been misbehaving. It's not like I'm trying to punch on and I could feel them stitching my arm up and putting all of the tubes back in. I could feel them doing it all, finding new veins and checking for various different things and having to put a few on my legs and da 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 da. And you know, when they miss a vein, when they're putting needles in it, it hurts. And sometimes they'll go through the vein
Yeah.
because your vein's got little valves in it, and
Yeah.
the valves are looking the wrong way to where you want to put a needle. So sometimes they'll put it through a valve, and the valve goes twitch and ruin the line,
Yeah.
and effectively it'll wipe out a bit of your vein, and you get scar tissue and all kinds of stuff. And if you have a lot of needles, you get scar. You know, I've got the veins of a fucking junkie, um, but I didn't really. It's not my fault. So basically, they had to do all this stuff, and I had to be really still to get it done. And they couldn't fuck around giving me, you know, gas in the mask and putting me in the OR and all that stuff. They couldn't do all that. They just had to get it done. And so I got the Thorazine, and I was later on going. Some of that Thorazine would go down well. You wouldn't have to do any of this other stuff. All this
Yeah.
other stuff could just go. Just hit me with the Thorazine, and I'd be really
Yeah.
well behaved for the fucking day.
Yes.
And yeah, um, but they said, "Nah, you're not getting that." Really,
No.
really, I'm very
I
honest.
just want to answer Fox of Fate, who appears to always be trying to get me drunk. Want to know how the cocktail was? I can safely say I am a fan of the drunk Irish uncle, and 2 or 3 of these, and I'd soon be talking about the Sassenachs, the traitors. My old grandfather was betrayed at the crossroads.
Fenian bastards.
The Fenian
Trying to-
bastards.
Uh,
Oh, we'll have a free Ireland one day. Yes, I think 3 of those, and I'd be preaching some very revolutionary ideas.
It's funny. Occasionally, I watch the Friendly Geordies, and
Yeah.
I hear him go off, and I go, "Tell us what you really think, big guy."
Yeah,
Especially when he's
kind of
talking
like,
about.
he's another one. I don't know if he ever listens to Chapo Trap House or what he thinks of them, but I feel he's quite similar. As in, he's pretty fucking agitating,
pretty
hard left stuff,
Yeah,
but
he's pretty
he
left.
appears to have no time at all for intersectional politics. He seems to react very negatively to stuff framed within the context of feminism, stuff framed within the context of race issues. He seems to have very little time for that at all. Again, and I could be speaking out of turn. I don't know him at all. And I don't watch that many of his things now, but that's the impression I get, that he's very.
I get a different smell off him than that per se. I don't see him going hard at any of these peeps, but I do see him treating everyone as similar, the same. So ideas of race and feminism are superseded by "don't be an asshole." He's very big into that, and
Well, I think you're being very kind to him. You're not
I mean, obviously there's a
necessarily wrong.
spectrum of views here. There's a
I think
spectrum
you're
of
being
views here.
very kind, because I've seen him be quite aggressively anti-feminist and pro Jordan Peterson, for example. So I think he finds, and I've seen him basically directly state this, that the concept of identity politics repulses him. So viewing your politics through the lens of feminism or through the lens of race issues, he's actively repulsed by, which I think is a very sheltered and privileged point of view.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I respect rap and the music and on the mic, but I don't get into it because culturally it's not me. I didn't grow up on the streets of East LA. I'm not a black kid trying to make it in the West Coast or the East Coast. I'm not. I'm not even from America. I'm not trying to make it north of the border, nor would I, because that's fucking New South Wales. And I'm just basically, and I respect the skill and the art, and that it's a 30-year-old mature format of expression, but it's got nothing to do with me. So I won't and can't get into it because it almost, I feel it'd be almost it'd be almost not patronising, but inauthentic. If I pretended, oh yeah, I love this, I'm down with this, and the homies, no, I'm not. I can't be. I'm not anywhere near that.
And that's the thing. I would defer to people that's their lived experience. I God, if I ever say I'm speaking on behalf of oppressed people,
No.
particularly of non-white races, someone slap me.
Yeah.
I would actually defer to the voices, and the suggestion that it isn't important that those voices and those views be heard, I find that to be horseshit. Anyone who thinks,
okay, technically I am Indigenous by family, right? And we know that. We make jokes about that too. Stopping slavery. But I pass as white so easily that I always go in situations where they want to know your Indigenous status. I go, I don't identify as, because I don't want some poor black fella to miss out on resources that he should have, and that I don't need. And there's still a lot of racism in Australia. It's a lot less than it used to be. There's still a lot of racism in Australia, not like other places that I could mention, USA. And some of these guys live hard lives. And I'm not talking about fucking in the middle of Australia in the townships where it's hard to live anyway, right? That's for anybody. I'm talking about in the cities where 90% of Indigenous people live. I'm talking about, fucking going around shopping centres on trams. At the moment in Melbourne, we've got a homeless crisis that is fucking extreme. And as a result, if you haven't got a job or if you haven't got access to cash, you're screwed. And these people will breach you at a moment's notice. And the black fellas get breached so fast, because they'll say something and it'll be taken as offensive or it'll be culturally sideways, and they'll go, "Oh, that's wrong," and or they'll say, "I don't want to go and do this various different work in a various different place," and it's usually because they know someone out there who wants to stab them, or it's too far away from family ties, which are important, and so they'll get breached, and so then they're not able to pay rent and they're on the street, and there's a lot of them. They're instantly noticeable because they're black, and then they get shit for it, and down the spiral they go. They can get very angry, very violent, and as a result can reinforce racist motherfuckers' views as they punch on to guard their own 1 meter of territory. And everyone will, and everyone would, and I've seen it many times. I've seen people put money in all kinds of strange places so they don't get robbed, and it's people are getting knifed for $5-10. Yes, they will. And so,
it's coming up on 10 o'clock, and I'm just going to.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Lighten things a little before we go. I like this comment from David saying, "Before modern medicine and painkillers, life would be totally suck ass." But people knew natural painkillers, and this is what I love. I've looked up some of the history, and the common belief is humans started to work out things like fermentation, and stimulation and pain relief from seeing how animals reacted when they ate certain things. Like animals ate a rotten fruit that had started to ferment and then acted away. There are actually, if you want some funny pictures, just do a Google search on drunk moose in a tree. And because I saw these photos, it was in Northern Europe. This moose eating fermented apples from a tree and getting drunk, but liking it and trying to climb a tree and get more, and then getting stuck because it's drunk, which is fucking hilarious. So the idea
imagine it waking up and the other moose around it going, Stan.
Yeah, Stan's got a problem.
Do you want to explain this?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
But yeah, the theory goes that humans saw animals do that and thought there's something to this. And then they liked how it felt to get shit-faced. And so they worked out how to actually cultivate the fermentation. Coffee was reputed to be the same thing. They believed that, like, again, like a goat herder saw the goat eat the beans off this coffee thing and then start pinging all over the place. And then we're like, what's all this?
Do that. I don't do that with coffee.
Of stimulus from the coffee beans, and they ended up refining it. And the same with, like, from opium poppies. Like, again, animals eating the poppy plants and then staggering around stoned off their gourd, and the people going, what's that all about? And getting into it and gradually refining. But
well, actually, opium use went around the world fucking fast.
Yeah.
Because it was the painkiller of the ages. Then, bizarrely enough, in Western and European cultures, it was lost. So you had opium use right into the medieval times, right into the bloody art. What do they call that? Leonardo da Vinci, not the Restoration, the Renaissance. And you had opium use right up into the 17th centuries, and it stopped. And then you had things like the American Civil War, where they had no anesthesia and they were chopping legs off or sawing legs off. And then they found opium again. And it's like,
and why wouldn't opium use spread? You know, like the idea of just taking one hit and then being off with the fucking pixies for 6 hours.
Well, being then able to be manipulated and healed. Like to get gangrenous shit cut off, and you're not having to go into shock and die.
Yeah, not having the patient screaming the whole time you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I'm going to say good night. And look, someone's sneaking into the kitchen, so I'll let them do that. So good night, you fine people. We'll see you again another time.
Always good to see you. Thank you very much for letting me be on your device. Thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Bye for now. I've got to click end more than